All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're going to get our hands dirty with one of the most basic, most fundamental skills you need in the world of data, actually adding brand new information to a database. And we're going to master the one tool that makes it all happen, the SQL insert statement. You know, just think about it for a second. Every time you save a new contact in your phone, or you beat a high score in a game, or post something online, you are literally creating data. And that data has to go somewhere, right? Well, behind the scenes, a command that looks a lot like what we're learning today is what makes that all possible. Now, in the database world, there's this core concept, this acronym you will hear all the time, CRUD. It stands for create, read, update, and delete. These are the four basic things you can do with data. And for today, we are zooming in on that very first letter, the C for create. And here is the key takeaway, the big connection. In the language of SQL, when we say create, what we really mean is one very specific command, insert. This is our go-to tool for adding brand new rows of information into any table. So what does this command actually look like? At first glance, it might seem a little intimidating, but trust me, when we break it down, you'll see it has a really logical and simple structure. Let's do that now. It really is like a simple three-step recipe. First, you tell the database where the data is going with insert into, followed by the table's name. Second, you list out exactly which columns you're going to fill. And third, you provide the values, the actual data, making sure they line up in order with the columns you just listed. That's it. That's the blueprint for every single insert. Okay, let's make this real with an example. Here's our employees table. You can see we've already got folks in there like Andrew Adams and Nancy Edwards. Think of this as our before picture. We're about to add a new person to the team. And this is the magic command that does it. We say insert into employees. Then we list the columns we're providing data for. First name, last name, title, and so on. Finally, the values. Notice how Jane lines up perfectly with first name, Doe lines up with last name, and sales rep with title. That order is absolutely crucial. And voila! After we run that command, our employees table has a brand new row at the bottom. Jane Doe is now officially in the system. We've successfully created new data. It's as simple as that. So, you've got the basics down. That's the fundamental move. But in the real world, you're going to want to be a bit more efficient. So let's look at a couple of pro tips that'll save you a ton of time and effort. Okay, this one is a fantastic time saver. Did you notice how we didn't specify an employee ID for Jane Doe, but the database gave her the ID of 9 anyway? That's because that column is an auto-incrementing key. The database just handles the numbering for us automatically. The same thing goes for any column that has a default value setup. You can just leave them out of your insert statement. The database takes care of it. Pretty cool, right? So what if you need to add a bunch of new artists all at once? Well, you could run the command on the left 3 separate times. Or you could be way more efficient and use the method on the right. By just putting a comma after each set of values, you can load up multiple rows in one single clean command. This is a huge win, not just for saving typing, but for performance too. Okay, so where do you actually write and run these commands? Let's quickly look at the 2 most common places you'll do this. Inside a graphical tool, or what we call a GUI, and directly within application code. On the left, you see what it looks like in a GUI tool like dbeaver. This is where a data analyst or a developer might work directly with the database, running one-off commands to fix some data or add a quick test record. But on the right is how an application does it. When you sign up for a website, you're not typing SQL. The application's code, written in the language like Python, is building and running that insert statement for you automatically in the background. And here's just a little peek at what that can look like in Python. See that question mark? That's a placeholder. It's super important. Instead of just sticking the user's data right into the command string, we pass it in separately as what's called a tuple. This technique is called a parameterized query, and it's the professional, secure way to do things. It protects the database from a really common type of attack called SQL injection. Okay, we've covered the what, the how, and the where. But honestly, the most important part is for you to actually do it. It's time to put this knowledge into practice and start creating some data yourself. So here's your mission should you choose to accept it. Using the Chinook database, first go tackle the playlists table, add a single playlist, then try adding several all at once. After you get that working, do the exact same thing for the albums table. This practice is what's really going to make everything we've talked about stick. You now officially have the power to add brand new information to any database. So I guess the only question left is, what data will you create first? Have fun with it.